Hi, welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophia, pilot into the universe of Chinese. We are going to continue our flight into the deep of this amazing ancient language, my mother tongue. And why is it not resuming? And why is, sorry, technical difficulty. Okay, now we have yesterday talked about 不辞而别, somebody's leaving, departing, 别, as if separating from the meat from the bone, okay? And 辞, not excusing themselves, not saying goodbye from supposedly their friends, right? Okay. And today we continue with this 别, this bone and meat separation. In 小别胜新婚, and you can see if it's 4 characters, most likely it's a contemporary expression because over centuries, at least centuries, right? New formulated expressions like time-honored classical Chinese expressions, mostly in 4 character formations. And if it is 5, it's not fully like grown into its adulthood of expressions yet. It's still new. But I guess it's hard to reduce any characters from this. 小别胜新婚. Okay. 小别 means a small, like a short-term kind of separation from each other. And 胜, like beats, win. And 新婚, newlywed. So you have those two in comparison as 小别 versus 新婚, and then we have this 胜. That means 小别 is the winner. It beats the 新婚. So these two kind of human relational descriptions, conditions, like 小别, separated for a short time because one party is traveling somewhere or have to do something, like not be together with each other for a short time. That's 小别. Versus 新婚is newly wed, like they were strangers, they don't really know each other until they get to the wedding day. I mean, that's the past practice. And the newlywed situation even cannot be better than small term, like short term separation. So that's the full extent. So I guess in this 5 character formation, you can hardly take out anything. Okay, so 小 and 别, 别 and 婚, these are verbs. But in Chinese, oftentimes they can easily transit to nouns without a change of a thing. In English, we have, for example, separate. We have to change into separation to do this transition from verb to noun, right? 婚, we have to to wed, right? That's the action. And then the ceremony is called wedding. And you cannot really replace one with the other without a changing. But in Chinese, 别 and 婚, cannot, like, don't need to change a thing. Wait, I don't know what's happening. I'm trying to illustrate the happiness of this two. Okay, very good. Okay, so 别 and 婚 were originally verbs, and they can transit to nouns without an issue, without changing a thing. Same pronunciation, same look. And then 小 and 新 are both adjectives. Yeah, 小 and 新 are in Chinese are commonly used adjectives. They don't really have much functions like change it to verbs. They are most likely act as the descriptor of some nouns. So again, 小, we have this separator in the middle, and this left and right stroke supposedly to be the same got separated. So my theory is it means cut something in half, and that's half the original size or volume. That's the definition of small. It's smaller, or rather here, halved than before. Because my understanding is big or small, such concept is all in relevance. Even if in human language, a lot of times we don't really say all the time, like smaller than what, or bigger than what. We don't really say that. We do have this seemingly absolute term of small or big, but the subtext of that is always against what. There is a baseline of something. So language creators, when they come across this small and big concept, it's in relative to what. So that's why they cut something in half to tell you it's in relative to before. And now it's separated into two pieces. The new piece gotta be smaller than the original one. Okay, again, 别 means separation, comes from this knife carving the bone off from the meat. So it's a separation of meat and bone, carving with a knife off. So this means the original separation is a butchering practice. And the meat is the part you want to eat, and the bone are left behind. Maybe you can use it for soup, right? Chinese cuisine doesn't tend to cook everything without wastage, and actually the bone soup are super good. I can testify that, even if it sounds odd or weird in the English-speaking world. But this bone and meat separation, that's the original separation. So 小别 here doesn't really mean bone meat separate. And I guess we can compare couples if they are in a super sweet relationship. This kind of separation, however small segments of separation, I could feel like carve the meat from the bone, kind of painful, right? But in this case, there's no further judgment about that. It's only say 小别. So that means a small separation. Here, the small doesn't mean physical small or spatial small. It means temporal small. It's a short-term separation. So you see, Chinese, each character can be so versatile. This small can mean time, smaller scale in time. We don't have to say short time. We don't switch to another character, which use the same vocabulary but put in different contexts. We have no problem understand it means a short-term separation. That's that. And now we talk about the 新婚. Okay, 婚 is a practice of wedding. So there are specifics of ceremonies that goes differently in different cultures. Like Chinese culture is more commonly practiced when the sun is setting down. So this character means it's going downward. So when the sun is setting down, when it's around near the sunset time, that's when the wedding is going to happen. Basically, it's the groom family will send out a carriage to carry the wife from another household, and this transition is near the sunset time. So that's why we have this female symbol with the hand folded in front with a little curvage over there to mean woman, and paired with sunset, that means wedding. And xin, we have this jin, this is the axe carving a log, got a piece of the log. So that's the result of axing, to mean the tool of axing. So axing on chopping up something, and the left side is a complicated ancient way of punishment, I guess. And the bottom is kind of a tree symbol, and then the top portion is a punishment tool. I'm not going to details about that, but that's a kind of a corporal punishment. So in case you commit some crime, you're going to have inflicted some pain, like physical pain. So that's the pain inflictor. And I guess the axe paired with that means this is a newly built tool. So this is why it's new, because it's a newly built. This axe is just carved out some logs of wood to make something. So these are newly make. So newly make corporal punishment tool, eventually only that concept was extracted and this becomes our concept of new. So newlywed. Beat is a little bit difficult to explain. I'll try my best. Okay, so the bottom here, the small thing, is our raking tool. So it's a farming raking tool that symbolizes for muscle power, because raking like plowing through the field or raking through the soil to loosen it up, that's the beginning of farming season, or it's a common practice in farming. It's a commonly used tool. So this eventually symbolize muscle power. And the left side, this is the boat. You can see kind of, right? The bow of the boat, you can see, and there are different seatings, and in this shape, you can almost see it's floating somewhere, right? And then the top here is the fire symbol that kind of come into kind of a flattened human figure with two legs, but that symbolizes the cone shape of the fire, the main body of fire, and the two sparkles on the side of the fire. And then we have two hand symbol kind of holding like that. So the hand holding the fire next to the boat symbol, the whole thing, the three parts together means some themes of the boat, because boat could be pieced together from multiple panels of wood. If it's a big boat, like one log would not be enough. So it has to be multiple pieces pieced together. So this kind of a boat theming, I'm not sure, like ancient times, if the boat need to go on fire, so that the seams of the boat got shrunken because the wood got expanded. So that is a way to form the boat, because at that time, remember, at that time we don't have chemicals, right, to seal the seam, and the boat cannot have any leakage at all, right? So this boat seam between panels of wood, sealing process by fire, probably that's what that means. And then with the muscle power, this is additional from that image. So with the muscle power, it means muscly successful, achieve something. So this together, it means victory, almost like by pure muscle power, you achieve, in this case, successfully close the seams between panels on a boat. So the bigger goal is to let the boat float without leakage. And the practice is put two hands next to the fire to make the wood panels expand, in a very craftsman way, to make sure you don't burn the wood, but at the same time, just close enough to the fire so that the wood blocks are, tightly sealed together by this physical expansion, and then using muscle power. So that's the kind of victory, and extends into beats, into win something, outbeat something else. So in this case, we're talking about 小别胜新婚. It's reunion. It's a Chinese contemporary expression to say a short time away from each other can make it sweeter even than when you newlywed. I guess this can be explainable psychologically, why this is a practice, or the common human experience, that for couples, if they are newlywed, there's, at least in the context of Chinese history, newlywed means they were strangers. They don't really know each other until they get to the wedding night. But newlywed, in history, in the past, practice it's basically strangers forced to be together. That's the 新婚 status of being. But 小别 means somebody being together for some time already, and some relationship already, like they already have bonding or something like that. And then after, supposedly, the husband travel to somewhere and then return home, and that's the kind of laughing face I present here to represent what, well, if they are already good in their relationship for some time, and one one departures shortly after one short trip, the reunion only feels better. Definitely better than newlywed situation. Okay. Casual interconsistency of thinking about one word a day with Sophie. See you another day.